All right, guys. Happy 4th of July. All right. Had a interesting few weeks and stuff. And of course, thanks to everybody that's popping in here on a holiday. Hopefully, you got the day off. Hopefully, you got hot dogs and grilled out and maybe saw some fireworks. Who knows? And here we are early on a Sunday morning where it's not raining, but Sundays can still be comic book time. Okay. So it's been very interesting the last few weeks. I'll go ahead and tell you we ended up amazingly getting a little bit of a half bonus at work for the summer. And I don't know how much I'll be on the YouTube here because we have anniversary and vacation coming up. So I was like, let's get this stuff out there. And we're going to vacation in an undisclosed area right now. I might reveal it later after we're done, probably. And there's already been found 10 flea markets. So, oh my goodness, what is this? Happy Treason Day. But, oh, I'm a patriot, sir. So, but anyway, but there's already like 10 flea markets and stuff to check out, and you guys know what that means with me getting some good stuff on the cheap. Some of the stuff I'll be showing this morning as I stall waiting for more people to hop on here because like it's early and the camera's acting funny. But like I said, we got that half bonus, so I splurged a little bit because I'm a cheap bastard, and I ended up getting a few DVDs sets I'll be showing off. um and I'm actually going to show off some bags and boards I got because there apparently is still a shortage. Last month on one of the live shows that I do, I mentioned how I went to a comic book shop and talked to some other people, and apparently there is a plastic shortage or something going on with the bags and boards. And I've already heard two or three stories. It's gone on about why this is happening. They're blaming of China and all this stuff, which cracks me up. But I also got told that this thing was going to last till August, and then I found a store while I was doing my travels yesterday where it could go on till February, is what I was told. So I don't know. So when I found some bags and boards at a shop, I went ahead and just grabbed them, even though they weren't the size I wanted. The store also had promotional posters and stuff because they are not allowed, apparently, to resell or sell promotional materials that are sent to them for free from a comic book shop. Let's get this camera out of the way, see what's going on with it. We're going to play, and then I want to show some books. But the biggest thing that happened is I have a secret honeypot, and I have to keep it a secret because there are people locally, and when I say locally, probably within an hour drive, hour and a half drive, that I'm aware of, where they just watch my videos for me to tell them where I find this great stuff, and then they run to it. But anyway, I have a secret honeypot where I spent $26. No, wait, whoa, whoa, rewind. I got 26 books for $20, and there are some hot books in this. Okay. I do get a kick out of hearing about the books that are being speculated on. I've always, for years I've done this thanks to the movies and the TV shows. And then there's this reactionary market that instead of being proactive and looking up what some keys are beforehand and trying to guess and get knowledgeable about it, they sit there and they wait. I've seen them on Instagram and Twitter talk about this. I've watched, I've worked, if you will, which cracks me up. I've actually, somewhere along the line on one of my social medias, somebody who owns a comic book shop, I think in Ohio, actually put on the group thread that he watches the shows on Disney Plus and stuff so that he can get to his shop early, keep it closed, and go through the comics in his back issue bins based on what he saw on the show to be able to put up and sell them. So I kind of get a kick out of going and finding these hot books still in dollar bins. And then when I buy a big chunk of books that are $1 a piece, I sit there and I haggle a little bit, and I end up getting them for less than $1. A lot of people have fun, and I'm also realizing that YouTube's been around for 15 years. This is my 10th year on here, and probably about a year or two before that, there was Captain Strange Life, who was one of the first, if not the first, He's an OG YouTube review, YouTube comic book channel here. But I'm starting to realize that there's a whole generation that this is comic book collecting to them. Strictly online, buying online, and maybe venturing out to conventions and stuff for the first times and stuff. A lot of young kids. But yes, I do get a kick out of going out and finding these books still in dollar bins and stuff because I feel like anybody could do it. That's the whole point. I realize that a lot of this stuff is regional. I know a lot of stuff is based on where you live. You may not have the opportunities and stuff like that. So totally understand that. And it is drying up around here. You know what I'm saying? Like last couple of years, even a little bit before COVID, it's been drying up. So yeah, there's still a little bit of a challenge going on. A lot of things have been canceled or people are getting out of trying to sell this stuff. But it's still out there, and a lot of it has to do with luck. It does have luck. It's an equal combination of right place, right time, plus digging and knowing what you're looking for, being proactive. So I'll show some of those. So real quick, on this Sunday morning, John Jones is here, and we have Victor Thomas. Happy 4th to you also. Thank you for being here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and show some things. I went to an Ollie's. Let's get these out of the way before I get to the books. Giving this camera a chance to calm down. I don't know what it is doing, why it does that. So anyway, went to Ollie's, hit 2 of them, and it's definitely slowed down after 2 or 3 years of having some really great books coming in regularly, trades. For anybody who doesn't remember or haven't watched the videos over the years, there's other people that found these and things like that. But if you have an Ollie's outlet, 2 or 3 years ago, they bought something like $13 million of warehouse stock from DC Comics, and they also get things from Marvel. I'm not sure what that deal is with Marvel. So there was just this glut of hardbacks and omnibus and everything like that, and they're 75 to 90% off. And so for years, I've kind of dropped in there, and I've gone to any Ollie's I've run across, and I go in there. And I got a few things. Now, this stack is mostly things I'm just going to keep in the shelf so I don't have to dig in my boxes. I have them. In the 2000s, Joe Kubert returned to Tor, a character he's been doing off and on since 1953, I think. And Tor's a caveman, prehistoric adventures here, if you will, right? And Tor's bounced around. It was in the 50s, and then I think DC might have reprinted some of his 50s stuff in the 70s. I'm not sure if it was new. I have it. It's what cracks me up. I got quite a few of the stuff in the 70s, bounced around. It was even through the Epic line, some oversized comics, very thin, but he had a mini series. And then in the late 2000s, maybe around 2009-ish, 8, somewhere around there, this collects a miniseries that he did of Tor. Now, there's Caveman and Bigfoot, Prehistoric Tales, Post-Apocalyptic, and in Bigfoots, if you will. I'm there. I'm getting it. So I already have this, but this is a trade that was originally $15 that I got for $2.99. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, Howler Mouse on Instagram, I put books up, and then I include a picture with the price tag on the back and stuff, right? So that's part of the fun. But I absolutely love Tor, and Roy Thomas does an introduction in this that kind of runs down the history that I probably butchered in the front of it, talking about Joe Kubert and stuff. I just kind of flipped through it there to look at that. But this is some great stuff. And if you're worried about it, if it's one of the things that you're concerned about, Joe Kubert has had an attitude where if he was, of course, with his own work, he made the decisions. But if he was working with another writer or something, he would make it very clear that he totally got that he was going to leave a legacy behind, and he worried about what his grandkids and family members that are probably not even born yet would look back on. So he tries to make it clean. I wouldn't say completely 100% family friendly. It's not dull stuff. There's drama, death, and tension and stuff like that. But it's maybe pushing the PG a little bit and maybe going into R for violence. So we're talking about cursing and nudity. Probably isn't in there, even though There's some sexual images that are nice and about the form and, things like that. Topless women, but you see them from the back because it's in the setting, it's in context. Okay, and then one of the greatest things that actually made collecting in the 80s for me so enjoyable, and I actually got to meet Keith Giffen and have him sign a few things and meet Kevin McGuire and a few other things. But this is the second volume of the Justice League by Giffen, DeMantis, McGuire, Al Gordon, some other people and stuff, right? And I have a whole box of this stuff. I bought this month to month. Justice League International, Justice League America, Justice League Quarterly, the Justice League Antarctica Annual, the Justice League Europe. I think I have all this stuff, the breakdowns, everything that crossed over with this and stuff, right? So, I got this trade just to go ahead and, like I said, pull it off the shelf, because even after, that came out, 87? I think the series started in like 87. Does that sound right? 86, 87. Even after 35 years, this stuff holds up. It is just fantastic. It's great. High on the humor in the midst of the 80s being down, dirty, dark, gritty, feet of clay, and all that stuff. A humor book comes out with the heroes, and every now and then the book would get shocking with a villain that would pop up and things would get serious, right? So, we get that. What we got here? Friar Tuck. It irritates me, the people who go clean out a comic book store or an Ollie's based on trying to flip a book on eBay, leave a few for someone else to enjoy. Dude, that's why you got to get up early, get out there and do it. My thing was just the regular competition in the area, friendly competition, if you will, in the area. I mean, there is one guy that is just freaking weird around here. There's no other way around it. Some people are just weird. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just weird. But I actually had one guy around here at Hillsville Flea Market, and I've seen him around quite a bit. But I would be going around Hillsville Flea Market, where they turn the whole town into a flea market, and I would be doing the digging. I'd be doing the scanning, working. It's a whole town that's a flea market, so I'm there doing business. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here on a mission, and I'm the one going into these lots, these yard sale lots with people, ask them, can I look in here? Can I move this? Because they would have boxes stacked, and I would find books, and that little mother effer would just appear like smoke behind me. And he was stalking me through the whole thing, watching me do this, and then he would try to zip in, and it would kill him. And then I saw him a couple months later at a place called the Shot Tower. There's outside of Wytheville, Virginia. I can't think of what town. It's not even a town, but it's an area outside of Wytheville, Virginia on 77 South is called the Shot Tower. There's a tower left over from, I think, the Civil War or something. And it's a bit of a roadside attraction, and it's part of a state park out there. But they have a yard sale during the summer that's hit or miss, And I found a whole box of like early Marvel comics. Now, if you go way back on my Instagram and way back in my videos, probably like, I don't know, 2016 or 17 or something, that's where I found Incredible Hulk 340 with Todd McFarlane drawing that iconic Wolverine, Wolverine cover where you see the Hulk in the reflection of his claws. First appearance of Gambit and X-Men. I found all kinds of like keys like that. First appearance of Mr. Sinister and things like that. He was doing the same thing, and I called him out on that one. But anyway, we're here for the books. Anyway, so this right here now, I think one of the best shows to come out on that, when it was DC Universe, it's all moved to HBO Max now on this day, July 4th, 2020. July 4th, 2021. But with Stars and Stripe, this may be the first series that Jeff Johns did back in 2000, 2001. And of course, the All-Star, Star Spangled Kid here, who would become Star Girl down the line, Courtney was based on his sister who had died in a plane wreck. And it's his way of immortalizing her. So he did this series. I think it only lasted like maybe 13, 14 issues, counting the 0 issue. So the series comes out. It's revamping, not revamping, but it's kind of carrying on the DC history of the Star Spangled Kid, Star and Stripe, and things like that. The chauffeur was the adult. The hook with this book was that the adult was the sidekick. Sylvester, who was the Star Spangled Kid, was the rich kid, and this was his chauffeur. But anyway, he brought it back, and this started out with a 0 issue. I got the 0 issue because James Robinson hopped on there with Geoff Johns and tied it into James Robinson and Tony Harris's Starman. All right. So I've had that 0 issue for years. Everything. So the Stargirl show starts on whatever the DC app was, which now has moved over to CW and HBO Max or whatever, and this ended up being one of the best shows. If you are an Earth 2 fan, Infinity Incorporated, All-Star Squadron, Geoff Johns fan, the first 10 minutes of this show has the Injustice League versus the Justice Society at the time, Our Man, and all these characters pop up, which is like better than a lot of the DC movies that happen. So I just got the 0 issue. I didn't collect the rest of the book. And now this is volume 2 that I got super cheap at Ollie's for $2.99. And I was flipping through it and I'm like, holy shit. If I had read this book, I would have known what was going to happen in the show in advance, because just from flipping through it, the Dragon King pops up. If you watch the show, it's all kind of laid out here. So I was like, oh my God. And then the 7 Soldiers of Victory pop up in this, if you know who they are, right? 7 Soldiers of Victory were a World War II team, back in the day. And Len Wein he came on the Justice League of America books and did this fantastic story where you found out that the 7 Soldiers of Victory didn't disappear, disband, or whatever. They were like scattered throughout history. And the Star Spangled Kid lived a week in a cave in primitive times. All right. Then the other thing I got, and I'm going to find volume 1 of this, if you will, because it ties into Garth Ennis's Hitman. Apparently I don't know, I can't remember if this was coming out the same time or afterwards, but this is Garth Ennis coming on Demon. Now we're going back to 1994, and it blows my mind that when I was collecting comics in the 80s, and I would end up talking about stuff from the Silver Age and stuff, talking about the 90s would be like us talking about the 50s if we were living in the 80s. Think about that. It blows my mind. But anyway, this is Garth Ennis coming on the Demon. And I think he was on around 20 issues, give or take. I could be wrong. But there's enough to fill up 2 volumes of a trade. This is volume 2, and it has the 0 issue, and Hitman shows up. Hitman, his first appearance was in a Demon Annual, and then he popped up, I think, in 2 storylines. But he's got the demons and stuff in hell that pop up in Hitman later on. The demon's name is Bader, and where he is an agent of hell, if you will, and ties to the demon and stuff. He wanted to give that demon, whose name is Bader, a rank, and he wanted to have that rank be master. So when you put it together, it says Master Bader. They wouldn't let him do it in Hitman, but he got by with it in here. There's an actual panel where all the demons are, I don't know, I think Bader's giving a speech, and all the demons are yelling, Master Bader, Master Bader. And it just cracked me up. So it's in here somewhere, man. But I'm kind of wondering, I got to really read this because I'm wondering if this ties in, this version of hell ties into Neil Gaiman's hell, because it has the 2 angels running hell from what I can tell. Now, if you go all the way back to Seasons of the Mist with Neil Gaiman's Sandman, Lucifer gave up his realm, and then the whole story arc ended up being about who was going to get the realm of hell. And it ended up being 2 angels that got it. So I'm kind of wondering if that's a unofficial continuation of that story with Neil Gaiman's Sandman, because by this time I'm pretty sure Vertigo was up and going. It was a Vertigo title. All right. So that's the trades I got, $2.99 and $3.99. 2 of them were $2.99, 2 of them were $3.99, I do believe. But like I said, the pictures are on Instagram. Okay. So the promotion, some of the DVDs I got, we'll go ahead and do this, right? I actually got this like a month and a half ago, just didn't really put it in a video. And I'll be interested if anybody's fans of this, right? But it's not so much I'm a classic TV fan, but I like those shows that stuck out like a sore thumb because to me, in my mind, it was like underdog stuff. You know what I mean? When you had all the sitcoms and all the stuff, the comedies and the weird dramas and the soap operas that were on at night, like Dallas and Dynasty and weird stuff like that. You would have these unappreciated shows, in my opinion, that in my mind, it was a niche group. We're talking like Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Cold Check, The Night Stalker and stuff. A lot of stuff that I would see in reruns as I was growing up. And one that was that really got me is like Twilight Zone. But I was lucky enough to be a kid who got to watch Twilight Zone, the movie, in the theater, and then Twilight Zone, the 80s series that came out. I was able to watch those. I'm pretty sure those were Sunday night shows and stuff, right? But then there's like the Night Gallery. And for years there was 3 seasons of the Night Gallery. And for years I've had season 2 and just never really ran across season 1 and 3. And there was a point on eBay, these were really expensive. I go to Walmart and I look down and here's the complete series of Night Gallery. Night Gallery was the show that Rod Serling did after Twilight Zone. So to a certain extent, he had a whole different framing. Like you would walk through this art gallery and each picture told a tale. And in each episode, you could get 2 or 3 different stories in there. Some were longer, some were shorter. And if you want to check out what is all the Night Gallery is all about, there's plenty of videos on YouTube where people do their top 10 episodes of Night Gallery. This stuff is fantastic, right? I dig it. It's 1970 through 73 or something, but I was really glad to find this. I was like, yes. It's got a little bit of everything, some horrifying stuff, a little tongue-in-cheek funny stuff. Show's got a lot, so hold on. We got everybody saying happy 4th of July, and I have friends who apparently it's their birthday today. Okay, cool. Something else I got talking about these shows is, you have Stargirl, which I said is solid, and then you have Doom Patrol, which I think I've talked many times about how this is so surreal. If you had told my 8 or 9-year-old self there would one day be a Doom Patrol show, I would have been like, oh, get out of here. Come on. But this Doom Patrol show is fantastic. Season 3 is coming up. And they are on all the seasons are on HBO Max. I feel like I'm doing a commercial trying to get you to get HBO Max and stuff, right? But this is season 2, the DVD set. I'm picking these up. I'm finding these cheap. I found this for $10 at Walmart. I don't know what the deal was. They usually sell for 10, and you don't usually get around here the $10 deal until Black Friday. So I was like, yep, thank you. I'm going to grab this. Fantastic. They pull a lot from Grant Morrison. You know what I mean? And there's a little tongue-in-cheek thing, little nods and winks to the Doom Patrol over the years if you're in the comic books. But this show is hilarious. It's probably like 95% from being absolutely perfect in my mind for what a superhero comic book show really should be. It pulls from the comic books faithfully if you know the comics. And, it's just so good. It's really good, man. And the cast is amazing. If you're a 2.5 Men fan, there's Candy from 2.5 Men playing Rita, who's a 50s, 50s movie star who's been humbled for many reasons. You got Black Alice with all her, I hope that's her name. Watch me get all messed up now. Anyway, Cliff Steele, Larry Talbot as Negative Man, Rita Farr, Crazy Jane. Black Alice is a whole other character. Crazy Jane, who has multiple personalities. It's civil, but each personality has its own power. And Timothy Dalton, who, if you are a Flash Gordon, James Bond fan, you'll know that name, plays the Chief, which was perfect in there. For some reason, they threw in Cyborg. It should have been Beast Boy, but they have a Teen Titans show going on, so maybe something went on with that. I could complain, but we have a Doom Patrol show. It's good enough. But I think it's at the end of season 1, towards the end of season 1, a later show. I mean, that's only 10 episodes, 15 episodes per. Well, I digress. Anyway, there's an episode where they actually found a way comic book science, if you will, which is fantastic, where Robot Man gets to go into the psyche, the mental plane, if you will, of Crazy Jane, and we get to actually meet a bunch of her personalities. And I thought it was just a well done episode where your suspension of disbelief, and that's the thing about this show. They have callbacks to even the 60s comic. There's an episode towards the end of season 1 also where they bring out a robot from like a 1968 issue of the Doom Patrol, and they do it in a way that your suspension of disbelief is like it's there. It just feels, they do really well with just having you drawn into the story, and all the ridiculous stuff is cool. You know what I mean? Like, of course, this is a Doom Patrol story. Now, this is one I really hope somebody out there gets excited. All right. So in the late 70s, early 80s, of course, you had cartoons on Saturday morning. For you kids that don't know outside, that was kid time. If you wanted cartoons and new cartoons, it was Saturday mornings, right? And then you also had things that were syndicated. So on Sunday mornings, I had Underdog, and then various what's his name? Anyway, and then you would have Underdog at 9:30 on a Sunday morning, which was cool. But you would also have another syndicated show that could be Rocky and Bullwinkle, Sherman, Mr. Peabody, and a few other ones, right? But I ended up getting the complete Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. This was my splurge when I got the half bonus, if you will, right? I had a chance to buy this a year or two, and this was the last copy. I put it down. I was like, nah, I'll get that later. And then before we left the store, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get it now. I went back and it was gone. This thing sold like hotcakes. You know what I mean? And I really do not want to order it off of eBay because there is the chance of them being counterfeit, believe it or not. So I saw this last copy again. I'm like, I'm not repeating history, and I got this. But this is the complete collection. Now, if there's any Rocky and Bullwinkle fans out there, here's what I heard back in the day, is that there's 5 seasons of this, of course. And they put out the first season, and all the Rocky and Bullwinkle fans went and got it. Second season, third season, fourth season, and they turn around and when it came to the 5th season, the very last one to have a complete collection, they never put it out. They came out with this. So all those people that spent money on the first 4 seasons got screwed, and you had to get this to have the complete Rocky and Bullwinkle. There was no season 5. So if anybody knows anything about that, if that is a true story, feel free to comment, because that's bad. Friar Tuck is asking, do you have cable TV then? No. I got rid of the cord, if you will. Got rid of cable, had satellite TV, got rid of satellite TV probably in 2007. I did live in one place where I was living with somebody who had the satellite TV, Dish Network or something. Dabbled in Netflix and things like that. But the last couple of years, I got the Roku streaming stick. And I tell you what, there is a huge difference in the quality of your life when you do things to make sure that you do things in moderation. It was amazing to me that when I cut the cord and got rid of it, and I'll tell you why I did it, because there's a show called Bret Michaels' Rock of Love that was on constantly. It was on constantly. I could not turn on the Dish Network or whatever I had back then without it being on, and there was really nothing else on. It was amazing. And I'd already been like dabbling, kind of getting out of watching things anyway. I was doing other things. And it just amazed me that when I cut that cord, I was getting other interests. I was starting to work out again more often, reading more again, going out a little bit more. And I'm not one of those people that points the finger and says that, oh, that's evil. That's in my house and that's making me do it. But I also started noticing that I don't have the celebrity worship that other people do. And I've heard comedians say it. It's not my phrase, but I've heard comedians say it, and I've read it in books and magazines. I don't know who came up with it, but it's called television programming. And I was just sort of like, there may be something to that, So yeah, I could give a crap that Bill Cosby got out of jail. I could give a crap that everybody wants to free Britney. I could give a crap on what celebrity is dating whom. I could give a crap on what's going on Twitter drama. I don't care, and I really do think it comes from the fact that I have other interest in. I got away from all the shows and everything like that makes you invested in celebrities. So yeah, it enriched my life, I think. So I'm very careful. You know what I mean? Like I have my DVD sets, I have my movies that I'll watch and things. We have the Roku streaming stick in there now, which I enjoy, but I make sure that I don't get programmed by the television. It's the other way around. And that's probably the most sinister, weird, conspiracy dabbled, drenched thing that I have a belief in, so because I know how it sounds, yet I know how my life improved. And now I listen to the radio and see things and I'm like, why does anybody give a shit? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't get it, Oh, did I have cable TV back then? I meant when you were watching Underdog as a child. No, we had antenna. I come from that antenna. We did not get cable TV until 1985. I remember the day because I was dying to watch the MTV. I would see tapes, VHS tapes of people who would visit our town, and they would seriously be like from New York or something, right? And they would come down, they'd have these VHS tapes of hours and hours of MTV. And I really wished I enjoyed those tapes more when I got to sit down with my friends and watch them, because I never really got to take them home. But everybody would just rewind and watch Michael Jackson's Thriller for years, for 3 years after it came out. That was the video that everybody wanted to watch over and over. Okay, I got more books to show here, man. The wife DVRs her Soap and Walking Dead, so we still have cable for her. Yeah, absolutely now. Cool. What do we got here? Okay, moving on. So I want to show you this now that we have people here. I've lost 2 or 3 viewers, but it's a Sunday morning. They might have been just checking in and they're like, Howler Mouse is talking conspiracy. Oh my God. End up getting modern bags, which is fine. You know what I mean? We all want our comic books to be snug, backing boards and the thing. And I had to make sure, because you want polypropylene. If you get polyethylene, they will damage your comics over time. But acid-free polypropylene. But I went ahead and grabbed these, right? I was assured that, the sizing has changed since my day, if you will. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm being told that the modern version is supposed to have your comics from the 70s on up. It should be in there. Now, it's nice to have a comic book, and people got Mylar. And, eventually I'll probably go Mylar on things that deserve to be Mylar. But I like to put my comic books in the comic bags and stuff to where there is room around that. If there is an accident, it's the board that will take the damage and not the comic. So if they're snug, it gets everything. That's where you get those bent up corners on your books. It's not 100%, but it's much better than a snug comic. So if anybody out there, the whole thing I'm saying here is that if there's anybody out there, at the beginning of the show, I said, I'm going to show bags of boards, because last month I went to buy some and they weren't out there because there's a comic bag shortage, right? And I got told this thing might last to July or August. I talked to 1 or 2 of my friends and they said there was a plastic shortage in general, and they said it was coming out of China. So I'll go out yesterday and went to, we were on the road yesterday, and the store told me that they heard now that it's going to be a shortage of comic bags and stuff until February. So if anybody's watching this and you know anything, feel free to comment on it, because that is a big deal. Over time, that will get you as you buy things. All right, we have Simply Incredible Podcast popping in. Good morning and happy 4th to you also. All right, guys. So let's show you some of the promotional comics or promotional posters that I got for free. I just grabbed a stack. I went through the stack real quick. This came from a comic book shop, and as I understand it, when they get this promotional material, they're not allowed to sell it because it's free. All right. So of course, going back, this is I don't know, volume 2 of the ongoing, I guess, of Kurt Busiek's Astro City. This is from 1996, right? So when Astro City started out, it was a 6-issue miniseries. And then it came back with an ongoing through Homage Studios, which was part of Image, but I think it was an imprint of Wildstorm, maybe. So 1995, I had the original poster that Alex Ross did, poster size, that I got right off of a comic book shop wall. I claimed it as soon as I saw it. So now I have this little miniature cardboard for a version for the first cover of, I guess it is volume 2, if you will, right? So I love Kurt Busiek's Astro City. And I'm so glad that I was there at the beginning of this, because that last one that was published through Vertigo with DC, very hit or miss. It's almost like Kurt Busiek's single story issues were better than the arcs that he had going on. So I'm so glad to be there at the good years. The interesting thing about Astro City is, if you've ever read it, all the characters actually aged in real time. 20 years for them, 20 years for us, same thing. John C. is out there. How are you doing? And the Simply Incredible podcast, heard good things. I have a video shot on a potato camera with all the issues of Astro City, because they announced the DC Vertigo series that was coming out. So I got my entire box out, lined up the Astro City comic books, and I just talked about them. So, type in Howler Mouse Astro City if you want to be walked through it. Like I said, it's an old video, and probably like from 2013 or 14 or something. There you go. Okay, so another promotional poster that I got. I want to say this is a Brian Stillfreeze painting or something, but Millennium Comics somehow got whoever these people were. One of the small ones got the license to do some Doc Savage. So there's the Man of Bronze. If there's any Doc Savage fans out there. I can't say too much about the series. I actually have the first issue of that series and just never did it. And then we have something modern. And Image books. I think they're great that they're out there. I think it's great they have things that get people excited. And yeah, I've been one of them, don't get me wrong. But it seems like going back all the way to Saga, we went from Saga to Paper Girls. I'm sure there was something else in between after Paper Girls. And then we had Crossover. And now we have Something That Kills the Children, which I'm not sure is an Image book. But it seems like every now and then everybody gets really hyped up and really excited about the series that's coming up. And then eventually it putters out. Everybody was excited about it. Everybody gets their 10 number 1 issues and stuff of this book. That's fantastic. And I think this series Crossover is going the same way, if it hasn't already. Thanks to doing the Cavern of Chaos show on Fridays, Jared is very excited, or was very excited, about this Crossover book. Anyway, I got the promotional poster for Crossover. And I really like that image of a kid opening a comic book and having his mind blown, and that energy coming out of the book. To me, that says it all about comics. That's a great image. I totally get it. That's one of the reasons I grabbed that. It's more the image than the book. But after hearing Jared talk about those first, 4, 5, 6 issues, and how he really liked it, the fact that it's like all the comic book characters come into the real world and they're here, and it's got this weird twist and stuff. I went ahead and ordered a trade for 35% off for the first 6 issues. And it seems like after that first story arc, I have heard nothing about Crossover. I've actually heard people say it's kind of weird what's going on in the book. So I don't know. I'm very careful about getting actual new books and stuff, because of the last 5 or 6 years, how this stuff putters out or becomes disappointing, or you have a book that's going really well and it's like Marvel. Somebody at Marvel is like, hey, wait a minute, we got a book over here that isn't brainwashing people, or whatever their agenda is. What do we got here? Why have I never got into the Demon? Now I need to get some issues. Tylox the Mighty, good to see you, man. Um, the Demon, I think it's spotty. I think there's good stuff and bad stuff and everything like that. But I definitely dabble around. Garth Ennis, when you get Garth Ennis, you know what you're going to get. So yeah, I would definitely get those Garth Ennis issues. What about Astro City from DC Comics? I think I talked about that, the DC Vertigo stuff. I think they're spotty. There was seriously quite a few arcs that I was sort of disappointed with out of the 52 issues or whatever it was that came out. And then there would be like this great one issue story that was fantastic. It melted his face, the crossover. How was the crossover trade? I haven't got it yet. I ordered it for 35% off, but it hasn't been mailed to me yet. I get to decide when my books get mailed to me because I'm getting so few. I figure I'll just wait and save on shipping, you know. So moving on that, and I got this. I got the first issue of this maxi series, if you will, and I'm just so done with Tom King. I'm not going to sit here and be a Tom King basher, but you know, in real life, I'm a social worker in real life, and I'm really not going to pay for a book where I'm helping somebody get through their issues. I'm watching them go through their issues, you know. But I am a huge Watchmen fan, so I got this just to add to the collection. But I got the Rorschach promotional poster to go with my before Watchmen material and all that stuff. It's a fingerprint with Rorschach in it. But yeah, after I got the first issue, I couldn't read it. I was like, I kind of flipped through it. I was like, okay, this is cool. That's all right. This is stupid. And I was like, we'll just go on. But the artwork, I feel bad for people that get on some of these books because the artists are knocking it out of the park. The artists are just nailing it. Good for them, man. You know what I mean? Like that's why this isn't. That's why I'm very careful trying to be either balanced or not do it. I'm really bashing a book too hard and stuff because there's some people on there that really bust their ass to do it, but it's just. I'm sorry for them. And if you're enjoying Rorschach, cool, man. If you're in, you know, I have no problem that people like any book, but you know, you gotta, you know, I expect a little respect. I'm going to be like, I don't like the book, but I'm not going to try to shit on it for you. And then I proceed to shit on a book. That's what's funny. So, like, you know, I have been called out on it. Here's something. I got two of these by accident. I think this is a newer book, but I got it because of the image. I really liked it. Mother of Madness from Game of Thrones superstar Emilia Clarke. Comes out July 2021. And I'm not going to lie, I've already heard people bashing this story, yet they didn't give reasons and stuff, right? And I don't know how. But yeah, here's a promotional poster. I have two of these. The imagery I really dig. That is striking. That will get your attention. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that'd be enough for me to want to know what this book is about. Okay. So time will tell on that one. Hey, JLS Comics is here. Great. So I've got two of these. And then going back, I have all of these and stuff, right? But this is early 2000s. This is when Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness were doing the Superman Batman book, not World's Finest. They didn't want to call it World's Finest. But anyway, this is one of the promotional books. Excuse me, promotional posters. Now I'm always you know, usually I look up and find these unfolded, but there was no way you could store this one because they made it long, you know. But I think they came out with two issue number ones. One had Superman on it, and then this is the image they used for Batman, I think. So don't know if they connected. I just pre-ordered mine and got it. But the first 26 issues of that Superman Batman series, I think were fun. I think they were fun and awesome to get. And then the story arcs were up and down with what they did all the way up to over the years and stuff. I think that book ran around into the 70s with a few annuals. And one of the annuals is worth quite a bit of money, which kills me because I had it in my hands, you know, and I don't. It's the, and then some more material here. JLA Classified. There's this weird thing that Grant Morrison did where he came out with robot versions of the Justice League, some kind of DC metal thing back in the day. So GLA Classified, appearing monthly. And they even actually had a Warren Ellis story with that story called Maps of Hell or something. And this is when I started realizing that I think this is the Marvel fanfare of the Justice League books. It's stuff that got thrown away or piled up and never published. Never like, hey, we got this stuff. Let's do something with it. And then I get to add this to my Goon posters. I'll probably get to Eric Powell to sign this at some time. But the Goon was returning through Albatross Press, and it was coming back. And everybody was surprised that I did not jump on that because I'm a huge Goon fan. But I had my reasons, and I've already gone on a tirade about TV. I'm not going to go on a tirade about what was going on with that. See what else we got here. Somebody's popped in. JLS Comics is here. Good morning, brother. Simply Incredible podcast. I used to ask shops when we had them about posters, and they said they never had any. I don't know your shops, but going all the way back to the 90s, early 90s, it was a lot of who you knew. You know what I mean? Like their buddies would get the stuff, the promotional posters and stuff. And then I've been to places where they were like, well, sign your name on the back of it. Which means they would give it to me. And I'd go in and I noticed it wasn't up. And I'm like, what about that poster? Can I have it? And all that stuff, which is why I just went ahead and took the Astro City poster. I was like, oh, cool. I put my name on it, came back the next day, and I was like, my name's on it, and I took it. And for some reason, I got by with that. I don't know. The Goon was originally through Dark Horse. No, Dark Horse picked it up. It was originally with another company. There were several short volumes of the Goon. I want to say going back to the late 90s. And I got the Rough Cuts trade that actually shows some of those early years of pre-Dark Horse Goon. And the Goon got picked up by Dark Horse, and that's where it really took off after being in Wizard, going by memory here. So I think the Dark Horse years of Goon are the best, in my opinion. So now that we've got the whole crowd here, everybody has found me, and it looks like we may have the usual cast of suspects here. Here are the comics that we'll talk about. This is what I've been sort of stalling for. I wanted people here to see these. This is a stack of 26 books, maybe 27. I don't know. And I got these for $20. And as I was saying before, with all the speculation going on, for years, I've sort of cracked up at some of that about the more you get into comics, the more you can be proactive if you're really interested in getting keys and stuff like that. Key books, first appearances, great story arcs, what have you. And now, as I said, I want to give a Reader's Digest version of what I said before. Now I sort of get a kick out of the Disney shows coming on, the movies that are on. And I've actually had somebody on one of my, there was a thread going on one of my social media of a guy who owns a comic book shop. I think it was in Ohio. And and I'm not slighting him for this. Let me make that clear. I just realized how that was coming off. I'm not slighting him. But he says that he watches the shows because it's work. And then he goes into his comic book shop the next day so he can pull those out of the back issues and go ahead and put a price on them. Okay. So that's where we're living. That's the era if you live on there. And I'm also saying that this, for a lot of people who collect comics, this has been going on for so long that this is probably all they know. And I've always on this channel been like, get out there, dig around and see what you can find in dollar bins and stuff. There's plenty of stuff out there, and try to be a little bit proactive and stuff. So I've got some hot books in here because of the reactionary market of these shows, of these ridiculous speculation channels on YouTube. I've got to the point where I was checking them out, the spec channels out, and totally get why people are excited about them. They're getting told that here's the top 10 books and you're going to make money and stuff like that. Good for them. And then I'll catch a huge mistake. And I'm sort of like, oh my God, I can't do that. But anyway, so there may be, I'm just going to go ahead and go through the stack here. So I think we did on the calculator. These came to like 77 cents rounded up each, right? So, like I said, they're not all keys, but I've already put them on my Instagram. If you have me on Instagram, you saw some of the key books what's going on there. So I don't want to overhype them. One of the things I did get excited about was issue 2 of Marvel Age from back in the day, announcing John Byrne's Alpha Flight. So I have some extra John Byrne art here of Alpha Flight. I was there with the ground floor of the Alpha Flight book that came out. What was that, like 83? Finishing up my Rune, I found an issue of Rune I'm missing. I just really want the Barry Windsor Smith issues. I've talked about this book on Cavern of Chaos. I may end up talking about it. But going way back, I have another #1 of Jack Kirby's Silver Star from Pacific Comics back in the day. Really big on that Kirby stuff there. These were fun to find. Yeah, Linsner covers of Elvira of her series through Dynamite, #1 and 2. Mistress of the Dark. I'm expecting that to be a fun book. I missed out on the House of Mystery books that Elvira did because I thought that was ridiculous. Back in the day, I loved Elvira, but I was like, that's Cain and Abel. I want Cain and Abel. You know what I mean? And I think they popped up in it. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, I hit a nerve. What is this? I don't speculate buy to complete runs for stories. Nice. I don't even watch the new stuff. The spec market killed my passion for the hobby. I actually stopped collecting. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. Hopefully maybe something will spark up your interest again. They've slowed down a little bit. I want others to complete runs and get enjoyment of the story. Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so some early issues of Warlord by Mike Grell. These are from the late 70s, and I got these because of what great shape they were in. If there's an omnibus out of the Warlord by Mike Grell, I really need to know about it because it's a great fantasy series. I've been running over. This is probably one of the last Predator stories that Dark Horse put out. This is issue 2 of Predator Hunters 2. But I've been finding the bits and pieces of these aliens and Predator stories from Dark Horse here and there, and I'm just going ahead and grab them all up. I got a feeling here. And at the same time, these are great stories. Dark Horse really has some underrated stories of these licensed characters that are just fantastic. The art in this one is fantastic, I think. I really do. So that's probably like from around 2018. Now, here we go. Here's a book that's hot because of misinformation and assumptions, but I have to admit, it's a hell of a coincidence. So this is one of the books I'm a bit more forgiving for people thinking this is a hot book. This is probably the second or third copy of this I've had, Wolverine #80. And he's fighting a guy that came out of Marvel Comics Presents, where he had adamantium skin. I think his name was Cyber or something, right? Wolverine has the adamantium skeleton. Now he's fighting a guy with adamantium skin. You know what I mean? But in the back of this, somewhere in the background, there is a beaker in a lab, and it's marked X-23. Years before the X-23 Wolverine daughter clone, whatever, came out. So a lot of people thought that was the beginning of X-23. I totally get why you would keep an eye on that. But I also am sort of like, are we going to count genetic material, if that's what it is, in a beaker as a first appearance of someone? I don't know. You know, that's where we're getting into that comic book science. Oh, the Warlord action figures as a child. Yeah, they were knockoffs of He-Man. And I had him. I had Demos with his crystal wand. He had a crystal ball for a wand or something, right? You had Hercules out of the blue, and you had Warlord. And I love those figures. I had them right beside of my He-Man, Masters of the Universe figures, He-Man. I thought they were fantastic. I also had the Sergeant Rock figures that I tried to put beside of my G.I. Joe, and those things would break. Okay, so yeah, if you remember, there were some Sergeant Rock figures that came out that were super cheaply made. I can't remember if the legs would come off at the knee. I mean, they would come off at the knee. I remember them breaking, but I can't remember if they were molded in a way to where you could like get them back on or not. I can't remember, but I don't have them. Something I found, this is from 1961. A Dell comic, Tom and Jerry, in beautiful shape, and it actually has some creamy pages inside of them. 1961. So on Cavern of Chaos Friday night, that was on Jared's channel because I had work going on and knew I wouldn't be home in time to do the show. He kind of joked, and he could be right, that not only I can imagine somebody in 1961 walking up to the magazine stand or whatever they had in 1961. I don't know if they had a spinner rack or not back then. I wouldn't imagine they did, but who knows? Anyway, you're going up there, and your choices are this Fantastic Four #1 you never heard of, or Tom and Jerry. And Jared joked around and was like, I bet that sold 4 times more issues than the Fantastic Four #1. And we had a chuckle. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, he's probably right. So in my mind, I made a story about the life of this Tom and Jerry. Somebody got pissed off because they were like, I remember that Fantastic Four, but I got the Tom and Jerry, and they threw it. They got rid of it. Len Wein ended up editing this book, but the big thing is nobody seems to have known that Arachnophobia back in 1990-91, whenever the book came out, had a comic book adaptation of it. And I flipped through this, and if you like the movie, you're going to like the book. It's an adaptation of the movie by people I've never heard of, from Hollywood Comics that I've never heard of. But when I saw this, I had to get it, because whether you like the movie or not, it's a glorified B movie that Steven Spielberg had a finger in getting made, being a producer or something. Now, this is fascinating because I actually remember seeing these, and I ran across some of these at yard sales when I was little, right? So I bought this coverless copy of Thor #154 from 1968 because it's Thor by Jack Kirby, you know what I mean? To Wake the Mangog, which is sort of I don't know if it's an infamous or well-remembered story from people, the Silver Age and whatnot. But, it's complete without the cover. And I was like, yeah, I'll get that, because I've actually sold coverless copies of Silver Age comics for like $18 and $20 a pop. Thank you, eBay. Anyway, but I got this, but I didn't notice when I got home until that I saw that somebody had put holes in it. And we were talking again on Cavern and Chaos, and apparently I think some other people had the same memories I did. I remember being a kid and seeing people with their binders. They would hide their comic books in their binder, and when they were in class, they would act like they were writing in their binder and working. They were reading comics. There are also people who would get their comic books, poke holes in them, put them in the binders, and put them up on their shelf. That's how they stored their comics before there were bags and boards and comic bags and stuff. And I actually remember seeing, like in the late 70s, early 80s, at these yard sales, these binders that had these comic books in them like this. So I don't know if that was a popular feature or just certain people figured it out. I don't think there's any way really to track that unless you knew those collectors back in the day. I mean, we're going back 50 and 60 years now. Yeah. Now here we go to the good stuff, guys. Have you heard of a little title called Immortal Hulk? Okay. Immortal Hulk, if you will. I've got a trade. I don't know, maybe issues, I don't know what's on there, 16 to 20 or something on there. The trades are very thin. And if you look these books up, I think they're up to issue 40. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong. But there's been so many second printings and so many variant covers that I actually think Comic Book Realm had 377 issues of Immortal Hulk to pick from. Or maybe it was my app or something that I put these in. So great book. People love it. I do think it's a bit overhyped because, and there's probably, people out there that remember, this was the standard for a lot of Marvel comics that were coming out in the 80s to the late 80s and stuff, right? So a lot of people were like really in love with this title. And I just can't get excited about it because I'm like, this is how comics used to be every month. 10 of them a month could be this good. But anyway, these were 77 cents a piece. These are first prints, except for this one issue, #2. But anyway, here's #5, the Immortal Hulk. #7 with great Alex Ross covers. Hope they're showing up. #8, 77 cents a piece. Some of these are $20 books. And this is really the first time the Immortal Hulk caught my eye when I saw the previews. And I'm probably going to try to get the rest of these. I actually read them online. But that is Xemnu the Titan. And the reason I'm imagining that Elwing, the writer put that character in there is because in the 50s, this was, I'm pretty sure it was a Kirby creation, and that's the original Hulk. They may mention it in the story. I don't know. But as a kid, when I saw some reprints and stuff of Zimnu and stuff, this was my favorite and still is my favorite 50s monster from comics. You know what I mean? It's like the creature from the Black Lagoon and Zimnu, the Titan, are my favorites, right? So they put them in there. It was a weird story. I think, here's a variant cover to number 14 of Immortal Hulk. Number 6, sorry, they're out of order. Okay. And then there's this director's cut of number 2, which, I'm thinking that's a $4 or $5 book. You know what I mean? But then we turned this over, and this was because there's a comic bag shortage, and I had to hurry up and do this. But I got this Wolverine number 88. This is probably the 3rd time I've owned this, and I'm probably going to keep it this time. But I ran across this a couple months, maybe 2 months ago in a dollar box. And it inspired that video I made about people who sell comics, letting you go through all their boxes. They won't do it. You're free labor. And then they'll look up the eBay prices and all these books, and you've wasted your time. You know what I mean? So I got this one for 77 cents, and it is in better shape than the one I passed up. But it's becoming a little bit of a, I don't know. It's first of all, it's a cool cover, the black and the red. That's going all the way back to the first appearance of the Molten Man and Fantastic and the Amazing Spider-Man, where you had that blacked out cover where all you saw were the red webs on Spider-Man's outfit, if you will. But I've always liked black and red. Those are punk colors, my friends, But anyway, this is the first time Deadpool fought Wolverine, from what I understand, right? So yeah, I got that for 77 cents. I've seen this book sell for $30, $25, up to $110, which is, there's somebody wanting it that bad. So good for them. Okay, let me get my stacks up here right. Okay, so that's 77 cents each. I'm going to bag that thing now. Here's a book that I don't understand why this thing hasn't blown up a little bit. It's fantastic. It's early Frank Miller at DC. I think he owns the character, and he spent more time and has actually said that this was more important than his Daredevil work at the time. This is also one of the things that probably made me more of a DC guy than a Marvel in the era that I grew up and doing this thing. But Jeanette Kahn, the publisher at DC at the time, she seems to really approach things as comics as an art form first and let the creators create. And so they were willing to work with them, and it broke some grounds when it comes to working with creators and helping creator properties, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm saying. We've heard it all before, right? But Frank Miller, I have an old Amazing Heroes that I keep right beside of my trade of this. And I cannot get issue 4 of this. I cannot find issue 4 in the wild. This is my 3rd number 1 of Frank Miller's Ronin. And I was talking to Rob, who owns Mountain Empire Comics. Rob's making it well known that he's 68. And he remembers reading this and hated the ending of it, but I thought the ending was what made it so good. You know what I mean? But the Amazing Heroes I have with the Frank Miller interview at the time when this was coming out, or maybe a year or 2 after it came out. Anyway, but he did say that this was more personal, and he spent more time on this than he did on any issue of Daredevil. So I thought it was fantastic. Post-apocalyptic, dystopian times where a samurai from the past, supposedly the ghost of a samurai, takes over a person's body, if you will, with nanotechnology, giving him arms and legs and stuff, riding around with a little bit of a plot. It's fantastic. I like it. Now, this is a hot book I've heard, thanks to the Loki show. And I flipped through it. And it really surprised me to see 2 great artists are on this. Tom Rainey, Tom Grindberg, 2 artists that I absolutely love. And apparently we're around the time where everybody was wanting to start drawing like Mike Mignola, except for Tom Rainey. He didn't. But I feel a lot of this artwork is inspired by, to be Mike Mignola, I think, unnecessarily so. And I don't know why they did that, so, but, Joe Quesada even quit drawing like Mike Mignola after he met Mike Mignola. But anyway, this Thor annual number 18 isn't well remembered. I've never seen anybody be like, this is my favorite book. But apparently, somewhere along the line on the show Thor, or the Loki show, excuse me, Loki on Disney Plus, apparently there's the antagonist is a female Loki. Uh, if that is true, they really missed the mark, because if you're going to bring in a female as Guardian, it's time to bring in Lorelei or the Enchantress, which would also tie into Thor Ragnarok, because you could bring back the Executioner. But I'm not going to go on and on anyway. But supposedly somebody did some real digging, and this is supposedly the first time that first time that Loki apparently in comics took on the veil of a female. Yeah, okay, female Thor, female Loki. I'm not really getting why that's important or exciting or would be considered a key. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm just going with it. But my whole point is I found it for 77 cents. And this is really hot on eBay. I feel like I'm one of those old man, like, kids, get out of my yard, but it's not making sense to me. It's a reactionary buy. I really can't imagine a lot of these reactionary buys holding their value for what people were selling them. It's good for the seller, but the collector, I don't know, man. I don't know. What we got here? Here we go. Those Sergeant Rock figures had no articulation compared to G.I. Joe. I had a full set with a tent, boat, and machine gun nest. Yeah, they were fun. I mean, they really were. I still wonder how that Schwarzenegger Sergeant Rock movie would have been. I remember seeing on the back of Comic Scene. If you guys ever collected, I think positive it was Comic Scene magazine that would come out. The last page, or toward the last page, would be nothing but lines and lines and lines of rumors and updates on comic book movies that were coming out in TV shows. And for years, you saw Schwarzenegger Sergeant Rock film trying to be made, and I was like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Because when it comes to Jonah Hex and it comes to Sergeant Rock, for some reason, I'm like, Clint Eastwood needs to play them. I don't know. What do we got here? Hulk fought Zimnu the Titan in the Defenders and in the Hulk issue 5, unsolicited history lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Eric Breen, and you can take this to the bank. And I actually think I read the Defenders issues with Zimnu when I was a kid. Well played, sir. Well played. No, I did not. What I read were reprints of the Zimnu issues. That's what I read from the 50s. Positive of it. It was either it was Kirby. So when it came to Kirby, I'm always sure it was the Stepdad comics and the War comics and more modern. I don't know, what did this uncle? The uncle, if there was a War comic, it was the uncle, but he also had another book he liked anyway. But yeah, if it was Barbarians and Conan and Jack Kirby, it was Stepdad's books. So yeah. So anyway, I got a facsimile edition of this. So I only have the #1 issue. And if you go way back on my videos, where I got the greatest comic book haul ever for free, I found all 4 issues of this given to me, but they'd been in a woodshed for so long, they had these at the bottom of the box. And they all had been there for so long, they actually turned to dirt, except for #1. I actually have seen comic books that were decomposed and turned into soil. I didn't know that was possible, but yeah, I saw it. But issue #1's a facsimile edition. This is Chris Claremont, Frank Miller on it. And then I got a few issues of Spider-Man with Todd McFarlane. I already had these, but I saw that they were newsstand, and something told me just to grab them. Maybe it's all the Spawn Mania. And then I got Batman Rip, Rest in Peace, the conclusion with fantastic Alex Ross covering Grant Morrison. So those were all 77 cents. So it's been a good month. That's all I got to say. So basically, I may do another show later showing off a few things. Are you okay? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Be careful. Is Alex staying here? Okay. All right. But that's about it. So it's been a really good month and stuff. And like I said, we're going on vacation, so there may be another haul. I will not be doing the Cavern of Chaos on Friday night for you guys that follow the channel, and thank goodness you do. And so maybe a random show here and there. Hey, what's up? Bye-bye. And So there may be a random show here and there, considering on my time and stuff like that. But hopefully, when maybe at the beach that we're going to, or after the beach, if I get a good enough haul and we're in a hotel that has decent internet or whatever, maybe there'll be a haul video from the beach. Who knows? You never know. Maybe something special in store. So, guys, you guys be excellent to each other, and we will catch you later. Bye.